Okay, part four, indigenous virgin birth, connecting this to the Arabic stories, taking it exactly from where we left off. Okay. So, Wak Wak, right? This is WAQ is the name. I don't know if I'm saying it right. So, Wak Wak, wind, fruit, tree born women, and a female queen. So, the source for this is medieval Arabic and Persian Wak Wak traditions, especially 10th through 14th centuries. So there's very strong parallels here in variable sources. So the story complex. Arabic geographical and wonder literature places Wak Wak at a remote oceanic limit, sometimes toward China and the Indian Ocean, and sometimes toward the African side. Accounts do not all describe the same place. In one cluster, an island or city of women is ruled by a woman and no man enters. Women conceive from wind or from eating the fruit of a particular tree and give birth to only daughters. See, that's scientifically correct. In another cluster, the wakwak tree itself bears female human forms as fruit. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm gonna read that again after this video. That is interesting. Huh. I'm gonna have to see if I can find what this tree is supposed to be. Because I could so magical fruit, totally willing to believe. Fully valid theory. I'll give him that. I'm totally willing to believe that. But also, like I was saying with the waters, this could be a type of thing that is acting as a medicinal remedy to clear these women of stuff that was possibly blocking that process. Um, but yeah, I don't think I don't think they're getting pregnant from the fruit. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't even have another thing to say on that, but that's interesting. We'll come back to that. So why this supports our hypothesis is the oldest medieval bridge between the reproductive motif and the queen of an island motif joins an all-female population, self-perpetuating without men, oceanic remoteness, fabulous fertility, valuable resources, and in some witnesses, a female sovereign. What must remain separate? Wakwak is not one fixed narrative. Tree women, wind conception, fruit conception, an all female city, Queen's female guard, Japan, islands near China, Madagascar, and African or Indian Ocean locations became attached to the same name in different sources. A responsible comparison must identify the exact author and recension instead of combining every Wak Wak feature into one original story. So, potential transmission value. So the motif circulated in Arabic geographical writing available around the Mediterranean. This makes Wak Wak a plausible intermediary tradition to investigate between Chinese, Eastern women countries, Indian Ocean wonder geography, and Iberian romance. Plausible does not yet mean demonstrably borrowed by Montevallo. Which I think that's fine because we're just kind of investigating these stories. We're not necessarily trying to get to be like, all of these are the same. I think some of them are the same. And I think others are just like naturally, even if it's a major secret, and even if it's very, very difficult to do, even if it only happens under certain conditions, and you need a group of people that are all like minded to pop this shit off, there is still going to be more than one person, more than one group that knows how to do this. Because that's just how it is. Like, people really be tapping into source, and they don't need to be connected or know of each other to do the same thing. So I could see how stories got mixed up, and people over time maybe even thought they were talking about the same people. So now we move on to the Greeks. Oh, my coal is finally burning. We move on to the Greeks. Divine self-birth, precedented, but not a women-only society. So source, Hesiod Theogony. This is 700 BCE. This is like partial individual deities, right? So now, so This is important though, because if you notice, when we were talking before, we're just talking as like people who've traveled the world and have written journals. We're like, hey man, this is some dope ass shit I saw on my journeys. You know, read this. These are some cool types of people that I saw. But now we're not talking about people. We're talking about gods, right? So Hesiod says, but Gaia bore starry Uranos, the mountains, and the barren sea without the union of love. This establishes female self-generation extremely early in Greek poetic tradition. And that is Gaia. So Hera, without union with Zeus, for she was angry and quarreled with her mate, bore famous Hephaestus, who is skilled in crafts beyond all the sons of heaven. Okay, now pause. So, divine birth can only happen female. Like, if we're talking real fucking stories, right? A asexual birth could only birth another female. So there's a huge possibility in history that literally all of these stories of men being born of female births were stories of divine, highly powerful women, that their stories were erased because of the takeover of men that happened, and we were then pushed into the patriarchy that we are still in today, right? Because all right, let me just go on. Okay, so what this supports. Greek audience accepted fatherless birth as a mythic possibility and associated with female divine agency, rivalry, and cosmic creation. What it doesn't support is these are gods, not a mortal society of women, reproducing generation after generation. The passages support the conceptual motif of female-only generation, but they do not explain Amazon demography or directly connect to California. I mean, that's fine by me, because even if it's not California, we are still very early talking about this concept of you don't need no man, right? So, same kind of thing happening. But it does seem that, like, no matter the time period, just depending on like how the people were, the story keeps ebbing and flowing out of they didn't need men. Oh, but no, they did need men. And, you know, so, like, some people are trying to tell the story as it was, and then some people are trying to come in and obscure the story. Okay, I'll stop here because we're going to enter the next section of Amazon, Lemnos, and Califia.